Fraser Island is garbage, and in this episode I'm going to tell you exactly what I mean. I managed to pull a couple of guys out of the Fulcrum office as well as a few mates, and we're going to spend the next few days exploring everything Fraser has to offer, as well as cleaning it up along the way. Let's get stuck in. Well, step one of any successful Fraser trip is getting to Inskip Point and airing down. Because if you don't, you are going to end up on the internet making an absolute fool of yourselves, which I'm not about. So, we're going to drop these tyres to around 15 PSI. We've got 5 cars in the convoy. We're going to jump on that ferry and we're going to go explore the island and bring you guys along for the ride. This is a stitch up. We tried to get here early. I think it was, I'm going to say 10 to 5. Servo was shut. That's all good, you know, these things happen. We thought, okay, we'll rush down to the barge and get in line. Nah, completely wrong. There's about 8 billion cars in front of us. The barge doesn't take many at a time. Mate, I reckon we make a coffee and wait this one out. And, well, you can make me a coffee, I'm going to wait in the car.
No, Doug can make us a coffee.
Yeah, Doug can make us a coffee, perfect. Well, it's absolutely blowing a gale, but there's nowhere I'd rather be. We are on the Manta Ray barge heading over to Fraser Island. We've just left the infamous Inskip Point and we're heading over for the Fraser Island cleanup. And with the recent flooding that's been happening, there is a stack of rubbish over on that gorgeous island that we need to do something about. So that's what we're going to be doing. And obviously the weather is not that kind to us this trip. I think there's going to be a fair bit of rain around, heaps of wind, but it's not going to stop us. We've got heaps of people coming over to help. I'm excited. Let's go back, get in the cars, unload them, hit the island.
Now we've got a pretty tough looking convoy coming on this Fraser Island trip with us this time. Behind me is Doug in the big Fulcrum Hilux. Coming up behind him is Bryce, and he's managed to wrangle the keys off one of the bosses to their Ford Ranger. And up the back, my mates from HD Automotive in Brisbane, Hayden in his FT swapped 80 series and Max in his turbo 1FZ 105. Something tells me these guys are going to have an absolute blast.
We've got a pretty good looking convoy behind us this trip, and we should see if the guys are as excited as I am, because I am like a dog with two tails, honestly. Hey Doug, you got a coffee, mate?
Sure do, Sam. How you going?
Good. Well, I've been better, to be honest, because I'm looking out to the right and it's sort of ominous, dark and very grey looking. You stoked to be here?
Yeah, super stoked, but
The foam on the sand doesn't look too great with this wind.
no, I think tonight's camp is going to have to be.
Be somewhere very hidden behind the dune. And Bryce, mate, we managed to pull you off the computer out of the office. Stoked to be here?
Cheers, Sammy boy. Super stoked to be here. Second time on Fraser. Can't get much better than this.
Well, seems like everyone is pretty bloody stoked, and how could you not be? I reckon a wet weekend on Fraser is just about better than any dry weekend on the mainland of Australia, to be honest. So there's nowhere we'd rather be. Now, you guys probably know a fair bit about Fraser Island, so I won't harp on too much, but there's a couple of things we need to talk about around Fraser Island and all its sights and sounds. You guys have probably heard them a million times. Obviously, you know that this is the world's largest sand island, which is insane to think about because it's just a stone's throw from Brisbane CBD, but that's pretty cool to have that right on our doorstep. It's also important to know that Fraser Island is actually sort of its alternative name. Its true official name now was recently changed to Guri Island. Now, Guri translates simply to paradise, and to be quite frank, I completely agree with that. It literally is paradise here. Fraser Island, where would you rather be? Now, Fraser's obviously not renowned for its tough technical driving, but what it does have heaps of is big, expansive beach driving. That's some of the most gorgeous sights and points of interest of anywhere in Australia. You've got some fantastic spots, Indian Head, the Gala Rocks, the Valley of the Giants, places that we're going to be taking you guys to on this trip. Obviously, there's a couple of things you do have to think about though, tyre pressures, tides and that kind of thing, so obviously keep that all in mind. And the other one is dingoes. Now, there's no real reason to be alarmed, they're pretty civil here, but some tips and tricks are tie up your rubbish and ideally lock it somewhere safe at night. The other thing is don't feed them, sort of keep your distance. You know, we don't need any repeats of a dingo stole my baby. Other than that, I think this actually might be our next little stop off just up ahead here, just around this little outcrop. So I reckon we keep motoring. I reckon the boys are going to froth what I've got planned next. Alright, so we've got a bit of a textbook situation here where the tide, we're basically going to have to time it, otherwise we're going to get salty cars. Let's have a quick look at the rigs. Lovely. What are your thoughts on the 80 series to salt proximity?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of water in the ocean today.
It's a very wet looking ocean today actually, particularly. We reckon of your colleague in the back there, rear wheel drive.
Yeah, look, he's probably going to do something about that.
Yeah, have a look. Hey bro, how's the rear wheel drive life going?
Yeah, it's not too bad, bit of fun in the stop stand.
Just loving it?
Loving it.
What are your thoughts on the ever rapidly increasing salty boy coming towards your yummy boy?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a bit of rust already, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Just send the dog.
Send the dog.
Should be right. And up the back we've got Brycey. Now Bryce is living, this man right here is functioning off like 40 minutes of sleep. How you going, bro?
Hey, Sammy, boy.
Is that a pillow?
Yeah.
Have you been napping in the front? Just awesome. Alright, quick, kill the cameras off.
Well, yeah, I mean, 35 minutes of sleep, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Are you excited for this little challenge?
Oh,
like salt
mate,
water, maybe lose the boss's car?
Not like dog, but we'll keep this one in the fleet. Yeah, so
we'll try our best.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll make note of that. Big man on the move! Hey man. Alright.
Oh, okay.
There's a bit of a salt water everywhere. Basically this is a little bit spicy because I'm trying to avoid salt water obviously. So, and with the tide we're about half an hour off a high tide. So a lot of these
How's it looking, Sammy boy?
A lot of these rocky sections are pretty zesty. Boys, I think you're going to be absolutely fine if you time it. Yeah, just be careful. It definitely does sneak up, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, we definitely got lucky there. There's a lot of water coming up before then, so gotta be happy with that.
How good?
Oh, perfect timing.
Perfect. Well done, everyone. Wunderbar.
Eli Creek is definitely one of those bucket list destinations, but has been talked about by just about every influencer on YouTube under the sun for years. So we're going to spare you most of the details, but one thing you must know is that an inflatable flamingo and a ball pump is an essential here, because you're going to spend hours bobbing down this creek, living the dream.
Well, this here needs no introduction. It is the lovely Eli Creek. And even though the weather hasn't quite turned it on for us, it's still one of my favourite places to be on the entirety of Fraser Island. Not only is it fresh water and completely clear, lovely temperature, but there's a bit of a current to it. It flows around 80 million litres of fresh water from up the top down into the ocean every single day, which means the water's moving at a decent enough rate of knots that you can actually put a floaty in that end and bob your way right back down past where your vehicles are set up. There's also a 400-metre boardwalk that takes you right up to the other end. So it's as simple as grabbing your pink flamingo and a bit of a ball pump, walk up there, put it in and have an absolute blast. The kids, family, picnics here, it's an absolute glamour of a spot. I dare say these boys are having a hoot too, but I'm going to go show them how to throw a footy.
Well, now that the crew have shown us exactly how not to throw a footy around, and had a bit of a rinse off, it's time to head to our next destination, a big 100-year-old ship that's been stuck on the island for quite some time, the Mahino.
Well, this extravagant piece of rust behind me doesn't really need an introduction. It's the Mahino wreck here on Fraser Island. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's been here since 1935. It was made in 1905 and it was stranded here after being towed on its way to Japan for wrecking. As you can see, past the crowd behind me, there's not a lot of the wreck still exposed. So if you do want to come and see it, I urge you to get to Fraser Island soon because this beautiful thing isn't going to be here forever. Anyway, this weather's crap. Let's get in the cars.
Now, after getting absolutely saturated at the Mahino wreck, it was time for us to head further north. But you'll never guess who we ran into heading down south off the island. Patrick from Aussie Arvos and his Formula 4x4 equipped 80 series. We couldn't help but stop and have a chat.
Well, even though the weather is absolutely raining cats and dogs, we've run into a familiar face. You guys probably recognise him, Paddy from Aussie Arvos, in another exceptional vehicle that can only be described as God's car, to be quite honest with you. Another 80 series. You were just saying you basically done Fraser, got the good weather, and now that you're on your way out of here, it's tag team and we're getting the bad stuff. Where have you been? You done everything?
Yeah, so we started off at Lake Mackenzie, done a few days on the west coast, headed up towards Sandy Cape. Didn't actually make it to Sandy Cape, unfortunately, this trip because the amount of rain we've had, everything's washed out. It's a bit, you know, how you going, and unfortunately the tides didn't really line up with us. But being a Fraser, taking the car there, it's my first time driving on the beach.
Okay.
I've just never, it's just a different experience.
Yeah,
it's
sick.
It's unreal. So.
Bit of a journey from Vic as well.
About 2,000 kilometres, about, you know,
that's
grain
keen.
and fuel.
Yeah, that's right, at the moment.
Yeah, but I would do it again. It's absolutely worth it. I love it.
Yeah, how good. It was saying before as well, some of the inland tracks, with the amount of rain we've had, is like Talangi style bog hole situation. So there might be a bit of mud bogging. Nagala Rocks is apparently super cooked as well. So I think the rest of our trip is going to be pretty eventful, going off what you've told us. But anyway, we'll give you a quick look around this 80 series and then we'll let them head south and we'll head north.
Moments later.
So we've just had a bit of a whoopsie. Look, not really. It's just these things happen on big old cruisers. Thankfully, we're prepared. So we just pulled up after Happy Valley and we noticed that the front Paso wheel on Max's 105 had some pretty spicy negative camber. We thought maybe he'd maybe bent diff, queried the kingpins, but they were all there. So we've come to the conclusion that we think the wheel bearings failed because it was also cooking and moving a lot of brake fluid, which we think the wheel has come loose in that wheel bearing in the hub. It's moving, and every time it moves, so are the pads, and they keep pushing the piston in, out, in, out. So thankfully, we've got a rattle gun. We've prepared. He's about to put a brick through the window for some reason. So we're going to lift it up, pull that wheel off. I actually had a full front end rebuild kit in the back of the 80 series, thankfully. And obviously these 105 and 80 are the same basically car. So we're going to rip it off, we're going to pull that swivel off, we're going to chuck some wheel bearings in there, tension them up. Hopefully that fixes it, tighten everything, get back on the track because we have got Lake Mackenzie calling our name. Woo! Bing bong. Hey man. Hey, you having fun?
There's not many things I could imagine that would be better than this right now. Like,
we can move the car closer to the water.
I would prefer if we could park it right up towards the tide line.
Yeah, that'd be
just
good.
Add to the stress a little bit.
I can do whatever you want.
We can respline.
Yeah, try that. It's a boy! wheels back on, which is exciting. The guys did the unthinkable. New wheel bearings, race, swapped them back to full-time hubs because the ABM is the bed. The problem is fixed, which is exciting, and now we have the delicious decision of working out whether we go and camp or we go find some accommodation somewhere. So big shout out to the Coopers Plains Fulcrum boys, the AC Auto boys, because they just did the unthinkable in this weather. And now the big 105 bus is ready for more adventures, so let's do it.
After having Max's Land Cruiser in a million pieces for a good couple of hours in the torrential rain, everybody, including myself, was pretty darn keen to have a nice warm feed and get changed into some dry clothes. So we pushed north and found a little campsite known as Wobby Point and settled in for the night.
You know, if you take any more of your clothes off, this could be a porno.
I was gonna do it the other way. You just gotta be gentle with it, bro. Just work it out. I'm joking, bro. You don't have to cut.
Alrighty, now it's a party here. Hold on a sec. Oh wow.
Mate, I'm all about the health.
Wow, that's disappointing.
Welcome to cooking a yummy boy meal with Sambo. First you get your pre-packaged gravy, squeeze that dog into a pan. You got to remember to turn the heat on though. Big boom. And now I'm a bit of an animal. I like my steak cooked blue. So you can see here, not a lot of cooking going on. Slap that in the pan. You get your pre-cut mushies from Woolies because you're lazy and a little bit cheap. Chuck it all in a pan and see what happens, really. Num num num. Diet's going well. Thanks for asking. If you're cooking a lovely lady a meal, cook her a steak. Beautiful. Some mushrooms, bit of gravy, bit of salad. But you don't want to just go steak from the pan onto the plate. That's not how you win them over. Cook it how you like. Let it rest. Give that bad boy 5, 7, 8 minute rest, and then consult your resident steak expert.
What are we cooking here tonight,
mate?
Sam?
We've got it's quite gourmet. Yeah, extremely gourmet.
It looks pretty good, mate.
Like over here, that's the Turbo 1FZ, and that's the 1HDT.
That's your 1HDT.
So you got it looks like, and it's probably going to be pretty underwhelming.
Yeah.
But over here, big beef.
Big beef.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
It looks a bit raw, but.
Yeah,
right.
Look, if it's good enough for Bear Grylls, it's good enough for Sambo. So.
Sorry, Sammy boy, I'm just gonna steal some meat.
Sake, mate, help yourself. Take whatever you want. So it's like, all right, this'll do. I'm impatient. Man wants to eat. Come with me, kids. Come here, baby. We're not going to have anything green with dinner because, to be quite honest, only patrol drivers eat green, so there you have it. Yum.
Torrential rains, howling winds, broken gazebos and flooded swags. It left us with only one option. We had to pack up and go find shelter. We were just simply too exposed and morale was at an all-time low. And whilst we thought the weather was going to be the worst thing we'd face this evening, we couldn't have been more wrong. Things were about to go pear-shaped and I had to go on a multi-hour rescue mission to go find Doug and Bryce. Things got wild.
And these are getting deep too. Yeah. And it's still pissing down.
It definitely starts somewhere.
I don't even want to open the door.
Yo, it's like what you've driven
Is nothing.
is 2% of what you have in front of you. Oh, look at that.
This is
That's my weight, not a 3-ton cruiser. Like,
you're just one step and you're just down, and that's the road.
so we've just been leaving our camp to go somewhere a little bit nicer, and the track has turned to absolute slush. The first 6 vehicles just made it through, and I mean just, and we sort of knew that the lower slung vehicles, well, here we are. The track has just basically turned to quicksand. So we turned around, came back down, and we've got a couple of cars stuck. What we're going to try to do first of all is we're going to dig. We're going to drop these tyres from 16 PSI down to 10. We've just got a nice high setup winch over there to try and lift the car out of that suction. If we can get that happening and we can get this car out of the wheel ruts, we should be able to drive it out of here. If not, I think we're going to have about 6 to 8 hours on the shovel. So I'm hoping the winch works. Woo, baby! Fraser Island. Where would you rather be?
Stuck in a hill. Hey, Bryce, you want to say something to GoPro? Oh, hey!
You got this, Doug. So when you drive, just yeah, try to drive as well at the same time. So you're gonna use.
Right now I'm full. I'm half full, right? Well, where are my tires pointing?
Yeah. So your tires pointing fine in the right direction, but
so just a little bit, right?
Still go. Try go as much as you can. Up a little bit, yeah. Guys, a little bit. Oh, not too much.
What was that?
I don't know. What was that?
Bro, what happened? It's exploded the winch. Well, we knew the winch was a little bit old, the free spool wasn't too crash hot. Unfortunately, under this sort of extreme load, I think it's only a 9,500 pound winch, we're asking a lot of it, and the actual, like the cast housing that mounts to the bull bar has just said, no thanks, I'm going to bed, kicked the bucket and basically twisted itself and broke all the mounts and snapped all the bolts. So the winch is just sort of loosely sitting in there, which is a shame because it's sort of our only option to get this car out. So I've got some thinking to do, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, folks, update. So the winch has gone to absolute. So plan B is going to be what has already really happened. Behind us is a stock Ford Ranger. So it's going to be the ultimate recovery vehicle. We've turned that around in a little spot down the hill. We're going to try and snatch the Hilux out backwards, get them way out of the way. I'm then going to come down, turn the 80 series around, and we're going to basically try and keep these more stockish dual cabs out of the wheel tracks, up high, basically run the sides up this scrub where there's a way nicer surface to drive on, and hopefully that works. If that fails, and only if it fails, good old-fashioned daisy chain, and Naughty 40 is going to be towing 6 ton up a hill. So let's see what happens. Alright, we've got the Dinkum kinetic rope on. We've just choked it around the toe, the actual tow bar on this side, because all the tow hitches have got lockable things and no one's got the keys and it's all a bit of a crisis. On the back of that one we've done the same thing, but we've used 2 15-ton soft shackles to choke it around that. And obviously we've got the Dinkum recovery blanket or winch dampener, so it's as safe as it can be. And basically now we just hope for the best. So let's see what sort of chaos we can get up to, eh? Oh my god, stress. Everyone's gonna die. If this doesn't work, we get it.
Neutral, handbrakes off.
The champagne falls. I've got sausages waiting. I'm gonna be full. Yum, 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 yum.
After a couple of hours of struggling, lots of digging, the rain stopped, so the sand got a bit harder. We managed to scrap ourselves out of there, but now we got another kilometre to go up, and everyone else in the convoy got stuck up this, and this is literally just the beginning.
Well, our plan was a great success. The mighty manual Ranger did its job, got this car unstuck, and it's actually even stopped raining. So I've stripped off a layer and the track is improving. Our plan now is to spin this Ranger back around, get both these cars way off the line that everyone else has been using so that it's a way nicer, firmer base underneath them. And hopefully we'll avoid having to snatch them all out of here. But overall, great success. Big win for soft shackles and Kinetic strapped everywhere. Let's go get a beer, I'm over it. Let's go.
Now, whilst we thought we'd seen the last of bogged four-wheel drives, sadly, it wasn't the case. It didn't take long until another fell victim, this time Max's 105 series Landcruiser bogged to the chassis rail. Nothing a quick recovery couldn't sort out though, and we were back on our way. Now, after dealing with some of the boggiest section of inland track we'd ever seen, and making sure that the previously stuck cars took the high line around this sort of stuff, it was time to finally head to camp. And we had just a spot in mind, somewhere with a little bit more shelter than what we'd just come from. Well, last night was utter chaos. Our campsite got flooded and it only left us one option. Mud bog our way back to the beach and get out of there, which was fine until the Hilux got bogged and, well, you've seen the carnage. We sent it down towards Happy Valley, which I could throw a cricket ball and hit the roof of the fuel servo there. We found a stunning little campsite just behind the dunes, out of the wind, pulled up stumps about 11 o'clock last night, had a feed, went to bed. Today is Sunday, which means we're here for what we came to do, and that's clean up Fraser Island. And whilst a whole lot of other massive YouTube channels claim to be all about the environment, I haven't seen a single one here yet. So what does that tell you, folks? And if the weather holds out, which, I mean, I can see like 1 square metre of blue sky and the rest is storm clouds, but if the sun stays out, I might even treat the crew to a little trip to Lake Mackenzie, have a rinse off before sending it off the island. Everyone's a little bit concerned about fuel. There's a lot on. Yesterday we were wet for like 15 hours in a row, so I'm just glad it's not raining. Let's get into it. Well, we made it to Fraser Island for the Fraser Island Cleanup 2022, and we thought it was the perfect opportunity to grab Michael and Shane from Full Wheel Drive Queensland. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
I guess one thing that people want to know is, why is the Fraser Island Cleanup such an important event each year?
Well, Fraser Island Cleanup is a very important event for our association and for the community because this is the largest beach cleanup, especially on Fraser Island, very well in Australia.
Yep.
It's a massive cleanup. We take over 7 tonnes of rubbish off this island every year.
Crazy.
We have around about 800 odd people helping out from the clubs, and it's our way of giving back. We use the environment. We go out there, we drive on the tracks, we go to areas.
Yep.
And as part of our philosophies around forward driving, we've got to give back.
Yep.
And this is the way we give back. We come here, we clean the island. It's a great job with the help of all the sponsors like
Yep.
Fulcrum. It's really good. They come on board and they make this a big event. And every year the island is so much better after we leave.
That's right. I guess it's all about keeping tracks open. That's one of the most important things about what we do as forward drivers, especially on places like Fraser where it's so protected. This year there's been a lot of chat with I guess the flooding, the severe weather we've had, so much going on off the coast of Australia. How does this year's sort of, I guess, rubbish situation compare to previous years? Have you noticed an increased amount?
No, have run up down the beach and had a good look. Some of the things that are different is we have a lot more larger items. So there's a couple of pontoons that are here in bits and pieces.
Gotcha.
We've seen a lot of boxes and bits and pieces along the track. So I think this year our weight-wise will be not too dissimilar.
Yep.
But I think there's going to be some larger items that normally wouldn't see here.
Fantastic. Well, you guys are doing fantastic work. We appreciate all that you've done to organise this event every year. Fulcrum are, of course, proudly supporting it again.
Definitely.
And have done for quite some years, and we will continue into the future. But otherwise, we'll see you out there.
It should be great.
Gloves high vis on, and we'll be cleaning up.
Look forward to seeing you. Once again, thanks for your sponsorship. We thank all the sponsors. Fulcrum's been a very integral part of this for many years, and we thank you for your support.
Fantastic. Thanks,
thank
guys.
you.
Cheers. So we've just linked up with the Red Dirt Diary team. We've got Bree, Bridget, Brody here. And this is Bree Vodo, aka Brunette Driven, aka the Red Dirt Diary GU. Big old kettle, but it's an absolute rig. Probably one of my favourite GU single cabs out there. Sick wrap, 37s, epic G-Works tray, all the fruit, all the good GME gear. We're gonna let you guys take a quick look around it. I'm gonna get cleaning up the beach because that's what we're here to do. Fraser Island cleanup. Let's do it. Stolen the Red Dirt girls. They're also on Fraser for the cleanup. Good to have you here, girls. You've been getting busy this morning picking up all the trash.
Yeah, compensating for his lack of picking up trash.
True. I'll be over here making more coffees. You guys were down at Eurong. You made your way up north. How have you seen less rubbish on the way up here? More? How's it been?
No, it looks pretty good. Everyone's been working together. It's nice to see the community coming together and being a team. The impact's been amazing. It's probably not enough, but it's a good place to start.
Yeah, it's crazy to realise the importance of these events. Like, it's an eye-opener for both us. It's the first time we've done this.
Yeah.
Seeing the amount of rubbish that's actually on the beaches, it's a really good event to have, and it's needed more often.
Yeah, exactly right. It's only once a year, but obviously if you guys are coming over here, pick up your own, pick up more trash than what you've got around you. Leave it cleaner than what you found it in. And also, Bridget, just run us through your hat. What does that mean?
Put me on the spot here, but I think you can read for yourselves. It's good, isn't it? The link below if you want it. Not sponsored too. I wore this by choice.
Well, the bag says it all. We're at our designated cleanup area here on the east coast of Fraser Island for Fraser Island Cleanup Day 2022. Now, for starters, it goes without saying that you should always take your rubbish and other people's with you when you get to a campsite. Leave it in a better condition than when you arrived, and that's how we're going to keep places like this open. But on the off chance that stuff floats up on a Fraser Island, that's what today is all about. Picking up the microplastics, the stuff that's drifted in, and rubbish from campsites. And by the end of today, we'll have some 7 tonnes of rubbish picked up purely by volunteers and forward drivers all up the east coast, and they'll take them down to the barge and they'll take that back over to the mainland and dispose of it. The big problem isn't just big pieces of rubbish that you can easily see, because at a quick glance, these stretches of beach look completely fine and litter free. The real problem is stuff like here, the microplastics. It's where Coke bottles, beer cans, that kind of thing get thrown into the ocean, into gutters. They end up washed away into a billion pieces, and you're left with these tiny little pieces of microplastic. That's the stuff that plays havoc to the environment and ends up on beaches like this and just generally ruins it. If we want to keep places like this open for generations and generations in the future, all about taking your rubbish with you, being sustainable.
Amazing what you find just washed up on the beach, you know what I mean? Well, at the start of this episode, I said Fraser Island is garbage, and this is what I'm talking about. Goree Island being ruined by us, unfortunately, humans. That's what today is all about. It's what the Fraser Island cleanup's all about, is coming down here, coming to Fraser Island with a whole bunch of volunteers, four-wheel drivers, and picking up trash, leaving this place 10 times more gorgeous than how we found it. And sadly, it is currently just the one annual day, but it doesn't have to be. Every time you come over here, pick up rubbish wherever you see it, we can all make a massive difference. Anyway, I think Doug and Bryce are down there dropping off our garbage, and because the sun's come out and spoiling us, I reckon I'll take the crew to Lake Mackenzie. It's the last little treat. Let's hit the road. Let's hit the beach.
While Champagne Pools is a definite bucket list destination when you're on the island, we were against the tides. So we sent the guys in for a quick dip to check it out before heading back on the tracks.
Well, behind me is the normally picturesque Champagne Pools. Obviously, we've picked our weekends pretty terribly, but I am still stoked to be here because a wet Fraser day is better than a wet Sydney day, that's for sure. Now, this awesome, super beautiful little rock formation is known as Champagne Pools, completely naturally made, fed by the ocean, which means you get this lovely natural jacuzzi effect and the waves washing in, constantly refreshing the water. So it really is a stunning place for family and kids to spend the day. It's just 2.2 kilometres north of Indian Head, and it's only a 700-metre return walk to get here from where you park the cars. It's accessible through the inland tracks, so keep that in mind as well. Anyways, we're a little bit at the mercy of the tides today, so what I'm going to do is spend a little bit of time here enjoying the swell, and then I reckon we'll move on. We'll go join the guys. So the next stop on our list was going to be Indian Head, but unfortunately we are very pressed for time and the tide is not being kind to us. So what we're going to do is we're hightailing it to Lake Mackenzie now, but Indian Head is definitely a place that you guys should absolutely come to when you come into Fraser. This massive formation, rock formation, is around 30 million years old and was formed by volcanic activity back in the day. So it's super sick to come and see. You can climb it and everything. It's only a couple of k's away from Champagne Pools as well. So if you're doing Champagne Pools, absolutely come and check out Indian Head. The other beautiful thing is the traditional name of Indian Head translates into stone, which is another little gem of history. And it's just genuinely a beautiful spot. Massive rocky sort of outcrop, completely covered in grass. So can't recommend it enough. Anyway, quickly racing the tide down the beach. See if we can't get to Central or Lake Mackenzie today before the tide cuts us off.
Tide seems to be up along the banks on Indian Head. Still not too bad, so we've still got some space to drive, but almost catching the waves.
Indian Head in the wet. Oh, it's going to be pretty easy. Famous last words, gets bogged.
Now, if you're tackling Fraser Island without the pressure of a deadline, then Indian Head is a spot that you must check out. It's just about on everyone's bucket list destinations. Sadly, we're racing the tides, so we're going to skip it this time, but if you're on the island, it's definitely worth coming and checking it out.
How important is a good quality, perfectly set up 4x4 lift kit? Well, extremely. Our Formula 4x4 lift kits are engineered, designed here in Brisbane for Australian conditions. For stuff like Fraser Island, where we are at the moment, having the specific unique valving in our Formula shocks, the larger oil capacity means they're going to work better, they're going to perform better on and off-road, be super comfortable, super strong and reliable, and they're going to stay cooler and perform for longer. Without a lift kit, sure, you can probably get here, but it's not going to be as nice. having the Formula 4x4 lift kit means increased quality of ride, increased control over the vehicle suspension. You can tweak those spring rates to get the suspension set up perfect for the accessories you have in the vehicle, because chances are, if you come into Fraser Island, you're going to have a whole bunch of gear either on the back or on a trailer, and you want to have faith in your lift kit. If you're not 100% sure on what sort of lift kit you need or what you might want to fit out your vehicle with, you can give our Aussie-based customer service team a call and they can point you in the right direction. And if you don't want to install it yourself, don't stress. We've got our epic click and fit system where you can buy online, choose to get it delivered to your local Fulcrum dealer, and guess what? For the upfront quoted price, you get it installed. Absolute epic lifesaver. The rain is still sort of hanging in there, but we've just left the beach on this little inland track through Eurong. A couple of Ks and we'll be at Lake Mackenzie, which is an absolute glamour of a spot. To be honest, I reckon it's probably mine and a lot of people's favourite spot on the island, and I reckon the crew in the convoy behind me are going to be absolutely stoked to have a fresh water rinse, and I don't blame them either. It's been a wet, soggy, salty couple of days. Let's get there.
Just a short drive from the Valley of the Giants lies Lake Mackenzie, a beautiful freshwater perched lake central on the island. One thing that's important to note though, now whilst this is a gorgeous destination, there is a lot of kilometres of inland, quite soft sand tracks to get there. So tyre pressure's the key, but well worth the drive.
Shame Fraser didn't quite turn the weather on for us this time, but regardless, it was an absolutely epic adventure. We took the crew to some of our favourite spots, got bogged in the middle of the night, had to find campsite, had to abandon campsites, and had an epic feed. It's really been a hoot. Plus, at the end of the day, we came over here for a fantastic cause, and that was to clean up Fraser Island. If you've liked this episode, make sure you leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell so that you don't miss us uploading any more epic content. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
They've somehow managed to make meat a 1.5-star health safety rating. Oh, it's all gone bad. All gone bad. It's all gone bad.
Also, fun fact about Fraser Island is that it's the world's largest sand island, right? Each grain of sand is a disappointed representation of a Nissan owner who's been outdriven by a Toyota. So and that's why there's so much sand everywhere.
I'm keen to get at you. I can't do it, man. Good man.